Peace and love, family, and welcome back for another Sunday Hope and Healing session. I'm Royce Fletcher Thomas, the host of the Sunday Hope and Healing session, where we come to share insights, offer encouragement, help to elevate your spirit, elevate your consciousness, share insights that we believe will be helpful to you in your life journey. Things I've certainly found helpful in mine, and I believe I have a responsibility to share what I can to help others along on their journey as well. And we do actually even provide healing of physical conditions as well as non-physical issues. And we do that through a methodology referred to as transcending the matrix, which is a holistic approach to healing that really addresses every aspect of a person's beingness, their spirit, their mind, their body, and all of these things, how all of these things interconnect with one another. And so I'm glad to be here again today, as I am every time. And our focal point for today is, drum roll, maintaining composure and finding peace in the midst of life's storms. Maintaining composure and finding peace in the midst of life's storms. And I know all of us have things that we go through at one point in time or another. And I'm sending a bunch of love out to whoever, anybody and everybody who's out there checking out the broadcast, whether live or checking it out on the playback. And this was somewhat inspired by something that happened during the last Sunday Hope and Healing session. It was a little bit comical, actually. So last Sunday's Hope and Healing session, I didn't deliver from my office here. I went out to I live in Tampa, Florida, at least for the time being. And I went out to the St. Petersburg Long Pier. I love it out there. It's wonderful. And that's where we broadcast from. We broadcast right at the water. I could have taken a broadcast from my phone. I could have taken the tripod that my phone was on and held it down where I was standing and dipped it into, well, the bay, which is essentially the ocean. That's how close I was to the water. Some folks even thought that I was on a boat because the way that you could see the water behind me. Anyway, if you've been coming to the Sunday Hope and Healing sessions, you know that we like to do the healing, and when we do, we start it and close it with a prayer. And so greetings to you, Curly Conscious King, as well. So last Sunday, we were at the end of the Sunday Hope and Healing session. I was doing a closeout prayer. And while in the midst of praying, I felt something like slap me in the back of the neck. Now, there were a couple young men who were right by, very close to where I was, who were fishing. And they were catching fish actually very quickly, as was the waterfowl that was there. This bird caught about 3 fish in about a minute or two, the span of about a minute or two. But anyway, while I was in the middle of praying, I felt something slap me real hard on the back of my neck. And I didn't know if it was a fish because I saw them fishing or what. It turns out that it was the weight for the bobber, which is the impact that I felt. But this happened actually while in the midst of praying, doing the closing out prayer last Sunday. And then apparently the young man's hook got stuck in my shirt, right? And I was caught off guard for a moment, looked to try to see what that was, but then ended up going back into the prayer. And there are some people who had reached out to me who were kind of surprised and really appreciative of the composure that I was able to maintain in the midst of that and go back into the prayer. And so that's one aspect of this maintaining composure piece. And I have to realize it's not something that necessarily comes easy to all of us. It's not something that it comes more natural to me now, but it's not something that's always come naturally to me either. And then the other aspect, which in a way goes hand in hand with this, is finding peace in the midst of life storms, um, which I know something about, uh, literally and figuratively. Having experienced, been through hurricanes and starting over from scratch after hurricanes, and then recently had one here, and then have one coming as well. And we've got this training coming up. I'll put the thing for that. Uh, we've got this Transcending the Matrix training that's coming up the end of this month, Friday the 25th through the 27th. And it's a very powerful class, and one of the things that's required, because it's a training, it's also an initiation. And really, with any authentic initiation, there's an oath that must be taken. And every single person who goes through the Transcending the Matrix training must do this oath to be initiated into this system of healing. And one of the things that we each pledge to do is to utilize what it is that we've learned to empower others to find peace in the midst of life's storms, right? To empower others to find peace in the midst of life's storms. And another thing that we pledge to in this oath is to actually calm the storms as we feel guided by spirit. All right. And so this is really significant because it's assuming a couple of things. It's assuming, one, that we're doing the work on ourselves to be able to find peace in the midst of life storms, to then also be able to empower others to find peace in the midst of life storms, and that we have the blessed privilege, in many cases, to be able to help make the storm go away, or reduce the, I would say, reduce the impact of the storm, either by helping to empower one to find peace in the midst of the storm, or by calming the storm altogether, right? And so these are actually significant components. These are very significant things, and I think that there's a lot of value for anybody who's tuned in today. This is whether you've been through a physical storm yourself, and a few years ago, where I lived was underwater for a week and a half, and pretty much released everything, just about everything. Um, yeah, that was an interesting journey. But in another storm when I was in college, another hurricane when I was in college, um, it seemed like the wall. I was in my bedroom during this storm, Hurricane Opal, and it seemed like the wall, like there was danger of the wall caving in. I could feel the wall vibrating, and it felt in danger of caving in. It's a scary experience. But anyway, I've been through storms, and again, literally as well as physically. And I know that there's some storms that you've been through as well. And those storms that you've been through may have been in the form of loss of a relationship, loss of a loved one due to them passing. It may be the function of a betrayal. It may be a financial drought. It may be that you find yourself, feeling cut off and disconnected from the things in life that really matter to you. It may be an emotional storm where you're dealing with things inside. You've got stuff going on inside and don't know how to process what's going on in your body. The energy is moving through your body or stuck somewhere in your body, and you don't know quite how to process it. You've got all of these emotions raging in a lot of different ways, and maybe a sea of different emotions that you might be going through. There could be a variety of ways in which um, you might experience a storm in your life. And here on today, our focal point is going to be on the, I'm not going to do so much talking about it, is healing regarding it in terms of being able to maintain composure when things happen, because the reality of life is that there are going to be some things that are going to happen that will be outside of your control. There's some things that you can control and that are for you to address and to handle. And it is important that you do that which is yours to do, no doubt about it. And yet at the same time, there are also things that are outside of your control, that you actually can't do anything to affect change about. And it's good to be able to find a sense of peace and serenity in the midst of that, to focus on the things that you can control and control those things, and to be able to uh, have a sense of release of attachment regarding the things that you can't control. Put another way to put it, in God's hands, right? All right, so we're going to kind of put our focus as far as the healing is concerned on those things, as well as um, to be able to maintain your center in the midst of whatever it is that might be going on around you. You know, my favorite poem, written by a gentleman by the name of Rudyard Kipling. Rudyard Kipling is actually the person who wrote the Jungle Book. But when his own son was getting ready to go to war, or was dealing with the possibility of getting ready to go to war, he wrote this poem to his son. And it's a 32-line poem called If. And the poem starts out, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. Mm. That's being able to find a sense of peace in the midst of a storm. And really every line of the poem starts with the word if, you know. Um, but it starts off, the opening lines of the poem start off, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing there and blame it on you. If you can maintain peace and composure within yourself when everybody around you is going crazy and they're blaming you for whatever it is that's going on that they're feeling crazy about, right? Whether that or something else, we want to empower you to be able to maintain your composure, to be able to keep your center, to be able to maintain a sense of balance, composure, peace of mind, a sense of internal well-beingness. Because the reality of life is there are going to be some things that are going to happen that are going to come your way that you might not see coming. There may be some things that will happen in your life that you may see coming, but just simply can't avoid, that you'd rather not have to deal with if you could help it. But if you're going to have some challenges that you're going to face, let's be empowered to be able to find peace in the midst of whatever those challenges might be, right? To be empowered to find peace and a sense of well-being in the midst of whatever it is that life might present to you. Because the reality is that you are wonderfully and gloriously made. You are made of the same stuff that God is made of. The same God who called the totality of the universe into existence and keeps it in balance. You're made of the same stuff. You're made of the same stuff, and you are wonderfully loved with a love that isn't based on how well you meet expectations of yourself or others, but is based on your mere existence. uh, I'm trying not to go into a preaching mode today because I do want to let the focus, or have the focus be on the healing today. All right. So let's get into the healing. If you want to be able to have a greater sense of um, laughing at you, curly conscious K. If you want to be able to have a sense of composure and to be able to, um, in the midst of whatever life might throw at you, or in the midst of whatever might come up in life, to be able to navigate with a certain level of grace, and with peace of mind. And even beyond that, if you happen to be such a brave soul that you want to also empower others to do the same, I'm going to invite you to tap into this prayer and to tap into this healing. And if you know somebody else who you feel like it would benefit them, send this message to them. Send it to them in a text message. If you're watching on YouTube, text it to them and invite them to come and tell them why you want them to, why you specifically want them to. If you're on Facebook, share, and you want to share it to your page, tell people why you want them to check this out. All right. So let's go ahead and get into the prayer. God, oh God, you are above, beyond, and transcendent of any problem, issue, or storm that could possibly arise in our lives. There's nothing beyond your reach and nothing beyond your healing power. And in the beauty of this moment, thank you, God, for the wonderful privilege of being able to demonstrate you as a healer, as a restorer, as a redeemer, on the behalf of anybody who's watching this, who chooses to partake of, who would like to partake of this healing, this transformation. For the point of neutralizing the root cause of all experiences, internal experiences of being tossed and driven by the storms of life. And transmuting that into and replacing it with being able to find and maintain a sense of composure, a sense of well-being, a sense of divine alignment, and knowing with complete assurance they were taken care of, safe, and can truly know the peace that surpasses all understanding. Because we found that peace on the inside of us. We found your presence on the inside of us that shields us from all the hurt, harm, and danger that this world could possibly offer. And in that feeling of safety, feeling whole, perfect, complete, and divinely empowered. And I bear witness to our wholeness on this date and in this time and space called now. Thank you. Thank you, God, for this gift of your divine love. I affirm it is done, it is done, it is done. All right, so let's get into the actual healing. So let's look at, first thing that came to mind is monkey mind. You know what monkey mind is? You know how monkeys are always running around, jumping around all over the place? We as humans can get scatterbrained in a similar way, where thoughts are racing and our mind is just all over the place. I went to a restaurant to grab something to eat Friday in South Florida when I was there. And it's a place that I enjoy going to. It's a soul food place called Magic Soul Food. Well, it turns out they're under new ownership, and I wasn't able to get the things I was looking for. And the person who was there, I really wanted to support the brother. His energy was just really all over the place, though. That's an example of that monkey mind that I'm talking about. And it's easy a lot of times for us, depending on what's going on, to be kind of scattered and all over the place. But let's actually bring into divine alignment that monkey mind, or that sense of monkey mind where we're all over the place, and to be able to find our balance, to be able to find our center, to be able to find our composure, strengthen that composure, to be able to find oneness. Greetings, Karen. To be able to find oneness between ourselves and God. Okay. And to be able to, as I think it was Kevin Costner in one of those baseball movies, quiet the mechanism. I remember he was a pitcher, and there was all of this cheering and everything going on in the stadium, a lot of loud noises. And he would do this thing where he would say, quiet the mechanism, and everything would go still and quiet, and he would enter in a state of complete focus on the task ahead of him in that moment. So it's strengthening our ability to quiet the mechanism and tap into the divine authority to do so. So in those situations, the external things did not change. The external environment did not change, but the internal environment did change. He wasn't able to stop people from making all the noise. He wasn't going to stop it from being a pivotal point in the game. These were things that extended outside of his control, but what was within his control was the ability to get centered within and to block out all of the other distractions. I know that's not always easy to do. So we're going to strengthen us to be able to transcend the distractions. To be able to transcend the distractions, not to be able to transcend the distractions. It helps for us to divinely align the frontal lobe and the cerebral cortex. So it's divinely align the frontal lobe. All right. And also create completely clear line of communication between the master cell in the pineal gland, in kind of the middle of the brain, and the creator cell at the base of the spine in the coccyx. And to divinely align that line of communication, clearing out blockages. All right, there's some blockages that we need to clear out. Quite a few of them. So we're going to work on clearing out those blockages. Okay. And strengthening clear line of communication throughout the central nervous system. And even specifically between the master cell and the creator cell, where that communication and energy is able to flow clearly up and down. Kind of like in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, where it talks about Jacob going out and whose name would be changed to Israel, going out and sleeping on a rock, and seeing in the process, seeing this ladder with angels ascending and descending. Okay. So in that similar way, clear line of communication, light moving and flowing freely, moving up and down the central nervous system, the spinal column, and being able to tap into our body of light and frequencies of light and love. Transcend the pain body. Okay, let's address this pain body for a little while. And in the context of addressing the pain body, I want to address the addiction to the stress hormones of adrenaline and cortisol in particular. And the connection between the adrenaline, cortisol, and dopamine. Dopamine is like a reward um, hormone. As a matter of fact, when people are talked about being strung out on dope, the dope is really the only thing that a person is ever addicted to is where it may manifest as different things. What a person is actually addicted to is the chemical release in their own brain. Okay, the dopamine fix, and different things give people that dopamine fix. All right, so we want to reassociate. So, and dopamine shows up as kind of like a reward, extending a reward. And we don't want the reward to be tied to being and feeling stressed out. Okay. We want the reward. We want to actually optimize serotonin. Optimize serotonin, which actually helps bring a greater sense of peace. Okay. All right. So let's look specifically at the amygdala for a moment. The amygdala is part of the reptilian part of the brain. It's part of the survival, part of the very primal part of the brain, which deals with survival, which actually stimulates that fight or flight response, right? Which actually hyper boosts adrenaline into your system to be able to react in a moment to be able to survive. Most people today aren't in a situation where they're needing to run from a tiger or some animal out in the wild that's trying to kill them. However, people walk around with their system flooded with adrenaline, which is good for a moment. It serves its purpose in a moment, but it's not good. It's not sustainable. It's not something that you want to have going on long term. All right. But what happens is that with the flooding in of these stress responses, sometimes people will get locked into that stress mindset and keep these chemicals going in the body. Rather than that, we want to be able to strengthen the system to be able to identify where real danger is and limit the release of those stress hormones to where there's real actual danger, and replace it with the times where it's not real actual danger, to replace that with actually clicking on the all clear signal in the brain. Now let's deal with this limbic system. In the limbic system, there are a lot of memories that can be stored in the limbic system, some of them connected to positive things, some of them connected to trauma, past trauma. So let's address the limbic system and its relationship to trauma. Okay. And how we sometimes get get stuck in a past experience. And as a function of being stuck in that past experience, get triggered by different things that happen totally different, maybe from that initial experience, but may set off a trigger. Like times you may have experienced this with somebody else. You might have even caused somebody else to experience this with you, where there's like a profound overreaction to what's going on in a moment. Like someone may blow up. What's happening in the moment doesn't necessarily match what the person's reaction is to what's happening in the moment. And that's because in that moment, they're not just in that moment. In that moment, they're reliving a much deeper traumatic experience. Okay. And so let's tap into those cellular memories um, within the cells, the genes, in the DNA. And then bring the light of God's love into those scenarios, those spaces and places. Store it within the cellular tissue itself. And even on a DNA level from that which has been passed down ancestrally. All right. And we just welcome the light of God's love into those spaces and places. And that it may go up and down the family lineage, even in this moment, healing the past experiences of the ancestors before us, and even going down to future generations, um, to heal things that would otherwise manifest themselves difficultly in the lives of those who come after us. So we want to give thanks for the healing going back in the past and going forward in the future, till past as well as present generations, in addition to ourselves. Okay. A lot of the things that we experience aren't just our stuff. You know, I've I've had as an empath, I've definitely experienced some stuff that I knew wasn't my stuff, that I knew wasn't mine. Um, but it didn't mean that it didn't feel extremely uncomfortable or unsettling. So whether you're an empath or not, you want to be able to you want to be able to dwell in a state of well-being, in a state of peace of mind, in a state of composure. Even if somebody near you has energy that isn't necessarily very harmonious in the moment. Okay. All right. So now let's extend your peace boundary. From starting within yourself and starting from deep within yourself. Right. There's a place in you. There's a place in all of us, deep, deep, deep down inside, where nothing harmful can touch. And I'm not talking about the places that you have stuff so deep down inside that you've got a wall where you're closed off because you don't want to experience a future pain, a past pain in your future. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about at your core, at your essence. At your essence is God. Remember I said earlier, we're made of the same stuff as God, and at your essence is God. And so at your core, at your essence, somewhere deep, deep, deep down inside of you, there's a place in you that can't be harmed. There's a place in you that can't be disturbed. There's a place in you that can't be knocked off its center. But for many of us, that's buried deep, 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 deep down inside. But let's bring that closer to the surface so that we're aligning more fully with that which is our most authentic safe space. That which is our most authentic safe space, to be able to align with that place and have that space actually expand in our beingness, even in our physical beingness, and make its way all the way to the surface. Okay. You've heard the saying about having thick skin or thin skin. Well, let's bring it to just just outside uh, the surface of our skin, and extending it even further so that we're not so easily offended, but then extending it even further. Mm, this is where divine boundaries come in place. Extending it even further out beyond yourself, the totality of your physical body, so that there's a stronger, more effective force field built up around you that's protecting you. Okay. So that things aren't able to get in quite as easily. Yet to be able to have a clean and pure heart, not a hardened heart, but to be able to have a completely pure heart in the midst of not being so easily offended. Sometimes people who aren't so easily offended may sometimes be more harsh. Sometimes those who are more tender-hearted are more sensitive and can get their feelings hurt more easily. Not always the case. Um, but let's strengthen that spiritual boundary to extend outside of yourself 6 inches, 8 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches. All right, let's boost that up. 18 inches. Now, extend it even further than that, so that even when other people begin to enter our presence, they're able to feel a greater sense of peace. I've not always been a peaceful person. Um, I've not always been a particularly peaceful person. People experience me being that way now, though, and feel a certain level of peace and comfort in my presence. Um, it's not just because I just got it like that. It really isn't. Believe me, folks, it isn't. But because of this kind of work that I do on myself, and I hold that intention and I do this work on myself to be able to empower others to feel peace in the midst of life storms and to calm the storm as I feel guided by spirit. And sometimes you calm the storm just by your presence. If you're able to be um, spiritually aligned in a way that peace is moving with you wherever you go. You know, there's something I say sometime about leaving a drop of heaven behind wherever you go. It's something I heard uh, Dr. Cornell West say at Harper Memorial Baptist Church back in the late 80s, early 90s, about leaving a drop of heaven behind wherever you go. And I endeavor to do that. I endeavor to leave a drop of heaven behind wherever I go. I endeavor for every place I go and anything that I touch to be better than it was, better to leave it better than I found it. You know, whether it's a place that I live or a person's life. You know, my prayer is that once I touch a person's life, their life is better than it was beforehand. I'm not saying that from a place of ego. I'm saying that from a place of really a really genuine desire to be a soul who moves in a world that is filled with a lot of chaos and confusion and bitterness and anger and hostility. And to be able to move with a certain grace and a peace, um, that when I enter into somebody's life, then they have more peace in their life as a result. Not because of me, but because of the peace that moves with me, and because of the spark of God coming to the surface, right? All right. So let's strengthen us all for that divine spark to not just sit dormant or sit quiet, but to be able to spread and reach other people. All right. There's a song, the Tuskegee University Golden Voices Concert Choir. I remember them singing. Actually, it wasn't a song that they just sang by themselves. I feel like it's a song that the congregation would sing in for like Sunday service in the chapel. And I don't know that I remember all of the words, but I remember saying it only takes a spark to get a fire going, and soon all those around will warm up to its glowing. That's how it is once you've experienced it. That's how it is with God's love. Once you've experienced it, you'll spread that love to everyone. You'll want to pass it on. That impacted me, and that's something that I certainly endeavor to do. And I want to strengthen us all to be able to do that, to allow the divine spark in you to help further light the divine spark within others, because the spark is more than just a spark. It's taken flame, right? Not in a way that burns you, but that in a way that brings the warmth and light that's needed in a moment, the compassion that's needed in a moment, the love that's needed in the moment, the insight that's needed in a moment, the non-ego based insight that's needed in a moment. I'm a recovering know-it-all. That's why I need to specify the non-ego based insight. Because sometimes we think we have all the answers, and we really don't. But to be able to listen and hear, um, to be able to say what it is that needs to be said in a moment, and the ability to leave unsaid the thing that we might want to say, but isn't the time to say it. Okay. All right. So I want to right now go for a second to the solar plexus. I want to go to the solar plexus and want to address any like power losses. Okay. Or you felt disempowered, or felt like you're having your power taken away from you or usurped by someone else. And the anger, bitterness, resentment came up the most that might arise out of it. Transmute that resentment into ability to move forward in peace. Doesn't mean that somebody gets away with something necessarily. It just means that you're no longer a prisoner to somebody else's decision. So let's also elevate and optimize feeling authentically empowered. Authentically empowered based on feeling and being divinely connected. Tapped into your true power source. When you're tapped into your true power source, you don't always have to go off on everybody and cuss everybody out. All right. So let's look at balancing the right and the left hemispheres of the brain. And infusing the corpus callosum with light and with love. Bring that down to the heart. to use intellect and creativity from a heart-centered space. Then drop that down to the base of the spine, further to the base of the spine. So that's the core of the place that we operate from. That which is centered and rooted and grounded in love and in light and in compassion and with insight and right-mindedness. Okay. All right. Let's take a moment now and I want to actually go into I want to actually deal with something I don't usually deal with on the Sunday Hope and Healing sessions, and that's multiple personalities. So let's look at resolving any multiple personalities going on. I'm not going to talk much about that, um, but we're going to work on resolving that now. And bring clarity of mind as well as peace of mind. And singularity of mind rooted in one's best mind. And authentic mindfulness in that context. Thank you. All right. Okay. And now let's look at transmutation of the desire. Transmutation of the desire to look like you're in control on the outside when there's chaos going on the inside, and transmute that into actually having peace on the inside, even when there's chaos going around on the outside, and then to be able to project that peace outwardly. Let's boost that, being able to project that authentic peace outwardly. Yeah. Okay. Genuine, authentic peace that you can project outwardly and help bring greater peace to others as well. Okay. All right. I'm going to just do a couple more corrections, and then we'll close it down for today. One of those that I want to focus on right now is clearing toxicity from the body temple itself. All right. In terms of that toxicity, I want to look at lead, mercury, breaking it down into quantum particles, flushing it through the lymphatic system, transmuting it into love and light, grace and peace. Okay. All right. I'm going to take a look also at toxicity that may be, perhaps some chemical toxicity from foods eaten with artificial preservatives or artificial food coloring. Want to transmute that, break it down into quantum particles, transmute it into photons of light and love. Okay. All right. Let's take a moment too and look at different petrochemicals in the air that one might breathe in, as well as things that a person may experience topically on their skin, different toxins, including neurotoxins. Okay. All righty. And want to transmute them all into, replace with pure love and divine light. All right. Mm. All right. And let's also, for a moment, um, strengthen our ability to forgive and to move forward, to forgive ourselves, to forgive that other, whoever that other is. Okay. All right. And to be able to truly align with that which is good and that which is supportive of our highest and best good. Okay. God, thank you so much for the healing that's gone forth today. To help us to be able to move through life with a greater sense of composure, to be able to, no matter what's going on externally around us, to be able to find peace in the midst of it. Thank you for the healing for each and every soul who has chosen to participate in it. And thank you for the wonderful privilege of being able to be a vessel that demonstrates your healing power. It's truly a joy and an honor. I give great thanks for it as well as all other blessings. Shem Yeshua HaMashiach Hashe and Amen. Okay, beloved, that wraps us up for today. Again, we've got this training that's coming up the end of this month, the last weekend of October 2024. October 25th through 27th are the dates. It's been scrolling on the bottom of the screen throughout today's broadcast. I have not always done the greatest job of getting the word out about these classes, but I can tell you I've seen some profoundly miraculous stuff take place in connection with doing this work. And I'm not somebody who arrived on the planet, uniquely special in terms of the sort of healing that I get to participate in now. It's there in potential in all of us. It's just a matter of accessing it. I haven't always done the greatest job of making it available to people, and I apologize for that. But I do want to get better at making it available to people. In this class, the next class is coming up the end of the month, October 25th through 27th. If it's something that you're interested in, if you want to be able to help empower others, help bring really, quite frankly, miraculous experiences into the lives of others, and to be able to see yourself grow in ways that might boggle people, I encourage you to take advantage of this. Feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook at Royce Fletcher Thomason or at Transcending the Matrix. Either one is fine. Probably check Facebook a little more than I check the other. But if you don't hear from me in 24 hours, reach out to me again. I've got 80,000 plus unread emails, over 400 unread text messages. I won't even get into how many messages are on the various places in social media. So sometimes I miss things because a lot of stuff comes in. If I missed yours, it's not because it doesn't matter to me. It's just easy to miss in the midst of all that comes in. So if you would if you don't hear back from me in 24 hours, just send me another little message. But anyway, like I said, that wraps us up. It's such a joy for me always to be able to be with you. I know that there are a lot of other things that you could choose to do, but I thank you that you choose to invest in your own sense of well-being. You choose to invest in your relationship with the presence of God that is seeking to express itself through you. And you're perhaps even wanting to be a vessel of healing in the lives of others. But minimally, you want to see some changes made in your life. And I'm thankful that you entrust me with the opportunity to help share something or impart something that can support you in that process. Again, if you're at all interested in the training, it's available October 25th through the 27th. You will need to get in touch with me before then, because I'll need to get materials out to you that I will send through snail mail. So if that's something that you're interested in, again, reach out. I'm happy to share this. Other than that, as we continue to do what we do as spiritual beings, having a human experience on this rotating sphere third from the sun that we call planet Earth, what we're ultimately endeavoring to do is to remember who it is that we really are and to live that out. Hello. And so all of life is about ultimately ascension, ultimately about entering into that sustainable state of supreme satisfaction. And so as we endeavor to enter into that sustainable state of supreme satisfaction, Karen, and whoever else, Curly Conscious King, anybody else who's been out there today, I shall bid you adieu for now with peace and love. Look forward to catching you next time.